everyone, and Happy New Year. Finally, I'm back. It has been a long, long road to here. Let me tell you, we had 2 weeks of snow here in North Carolina. For all those people out there, all the kings and queens, all I want to say is if you were in the Northeast with a lot of snow, enjoy it. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay, I'm happy to be back because this is my first edition and I have the Kings with me. And like I always say on WRJR, Jazz and Jams with Ron Hamilton and me, Queen D, I always say, what is a queen without her king? So this is my first edition and I'm excited because I got some gentlemen here and we got a theme today that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the modern woman. I'm so excited about that. So let's get started right now. First, I want to say thank you, Ron Hamilton, WRJR, for this platform because it gives me a chance to speak my mind in a no judgment zone with the women, the queens. But today is special because I got the kings, okay? So right here to my right, your name is?
Clay. I'm Clay and I am a sales executive research analyst from Durham, North Carolina, right here. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Clay. And we also have?
How you doing? Troy Creasy. I am, in terms of married life, I am been married for 6 years. I have 2 kids, 2 wonderful kids, 1 7, 1 4 months, so pray for me. Just a bit about educational background. I went to North Carolina A&T. I'm a proud graduate, civil engineer by education. Right now, I'm currently serving as the chief railroad design and construction engineer for the state of North Carolina. It's fantastic that I'm here. I'm glad to participate today.
Well, thank you so much, Joshua. And you know what? I just can't help but saying, that is my nephew, everybody, and I am proud to say it. Thank you for coming on such short notice. And I'm proud of my nieces and my brand new special Harrison. I'm just so excited. I just had to say that. You know what? It is what it is. Okay. Next we have.
Good morning. My name is Chris.
Good morning, Chris.
I'm what you consider a late bloomer. Okay, you probably understand that better as as our conversation evolves. But at the moment, I'm a bilingual call specialist for a company called Excel Fitness, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. You know what? I gotta thank these kings because you know what? It's cold outside, but everybody in this room is from the north, so we're used to this. So, we're going to take it all in stride and enjoy it. And next we have?
My name is Asa Souza. I have over a decade of customer service experience in retail. And tell you a bit about myself. I am a vlogger. So I do speak on topics, multiple topics. I'm back on the YouTube scene, and I'm an artist too, photographer, videographer. So I specialize in many types of art, but this art is more towards the adult side of expressing the beautiful woman and the beautiful anatomy of the body, human body.
Thank you, King. I appreciate that. So we have 4 gentlemen with different, diverse backgrounds here. And you know what, Clay? I'm coming back to you.
Okay.
Okay? Can you take your mask down? And I just wanted to say, everybody on this show is vaccinated, okay? And I'm comfortable with that. And we are 6 feet apart. We did what we had to do this show. But Clay didn't give enough of his what he does, so I'm coming back to you, Clay.
Yes, certainly.
What do you do for a living?
Yes, as I mentioned previously, I am a political consultant as well as a research and sales executive based here in the Raleigh-Durham area in North Carolina.
And you know what I want to say? Also, Clay is not telling you something. He is in politics. And didn't you just help a few people run in politics? And they won? Let's tell us about that.
Well, yes, as I previously stated, I am a political consultant and political professional with over a decade's worth of campaign experiences working on presidential campaigns, including Barack Obama, now President Joe Biden, as well as many gubernatorial and congressional races throughout this country as well, and also local municipal races. Recently helped get elected Durham City Councilman Leonard Williams elected.
Okay, let's clap on that. All right now, that's awesome. And aren't you planning on running soon?
Well, yes, eventually in the near future. So therefore, for the sake of this conversation, I do consider myself confidently a high-value man.
All right now, so we're going to get right into it. So, you know, what we're going to talk about is a gentleman that is on YouTube. He's on Instagram. He is highly renowned. He is really right now a trailblazer in what is going on in our country, and he has become extremely popular. He started out for the men, but somewhere along the line, the women got interested and said, hey, I want to find out what this man's talking about. His name is Kevin Samuels, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Kevin Samuels. So we all took the liberty of looking at some of his YouTube videos, and we wanted to express what it is. So my question today, the theme is the modern woman and Kevin Samuels. That's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to start off with some questions right here, and I'm going to start off with, how do you feel about the term modern woman? And I'm going to start with Joshua.
Yeah, so the term modern woman, as well as the term modern man,
Yes.
has been out for the last 50 or so years. It keeps shifting with the times. You know, one thing about modern women, and why I think there's a negative connotation behind it right now, is that I'd say most agree that when you hear modern woman, you think about independent, successful women, in spite of their relationship status, women that are able to be successful, and the women that don't need male companionship, relationships, marriage to be successful. I think what throws a lot of people off is, with the modern woman, there's a code of personality that's going on. There's also almost like an expectation that if you're a modern woman and you're also married, they come into conflict with each other. And I think the damage is that while women can be successful without men, and men can be successful without women, I think for that to be the goal.
And we're back. Thank you everyone for joining. This is Queen Court's Conversation. Hi, I'm Queen D, and I have some distinguished guests today I'm very excited about. This is my first King's edition. That's why I'm so excited, because like I said before, what's a queen without her king? And right here to my right, I have Asa Souza, and I have Joshua Creasy, Christopher, and Roberts, and Calvin Souza. So thank you very much. So we were talking with Clay when we first, when we went to commercial break, because I'm going to the next question. I'm going to go back to Joshua. So Joshua, what inspired you to get married? First, let me take that back. I'm going to start by saying, do you believe in traditional marriage?
Yeah, I absolutely believe in traditional marriage. I don't believe marriage is a one-size-fits-all institution.
I like that.
I don't believe marriage necessarily works for everybody in every case, but I think generally, and that's what we're here to talk about today, generally it works. You know, marriage and real estate are the two things that build generational wealth the most reliably. Two-income household combined with real estate holdings has been proven more so than any other thing to make black family, well, not only black American families successful, and have that generational wealth that they're able to pass down to their kids and their kids' kids. So anyway, so yeah, traditional marriage, I believe that traditional marriage, successful marriages stem from successful relationships. Your wife or your spouse should be your best friend.
Absolutely.
That translates to a successful marriage.
A healthy one.
Healthy marriage.
Yes.
Healthy marriages translate to healthy families, and families are the cornerstone of successful communities. They all go hand in hand. So, yeah, absolutely, I believe in marriage, and I think ultimately, again, it's not a one-size-fits-all, but I think when you are in a healthy marriage with your soulmate, building that generational wealth, I believe that's a great position to be in.
Thank you, Joshua. And one more question. So what inspired you to get married?
So what inspired me to get married?
This is 2022. Millennials, you know how crazy it is out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what inspired me to get married? When I met my wife, there was instantly a bond between us. We were both kindred souls. We had similar interests. We liked to travel. We had a broad range of things that we were interested in, including politics, general social concerns and things of that nature. We both had similar backgrounds where things, we didn't necessarily come from the best background, but we both were optimistic in our futures, and we felt that combined we could do a lot of great things together. So basically, once we started dating, there was never a huge rush to get married. But for all intents and purposes, like so many out there, we were living together. We were spending all of our time together. We were living, for all intents and purposes, a married life. So for us, it made so much sense to go ahead and give it a shot and see what good could come from it. We both took a risk in each other, and it's paid off. And I couldn't be happier.
Thank you, Joshua. I really appreciate what he says, and I hope that everybody out there who's listening to this young gentleman here, he's letting you know that traditional marriage is not something of the past, like in the dark ages, that if you're in a relationship, it can work. See, the problem is with today's young people is that the modern woman sometimes feel like they don't need anybody, but you're lying to yourself. Nobody wants to die alone. I don't care who you are, and that's just the truth. Everybody wants to be loved, and everybody wants someone. That is what was God's intention, is for man to find someone. When I say man, I don't just mean man. I mean a human, to find another human that they can get along with. And let me tell you something else. I have to say this. You don't fall in love. You work in love. You build. It's a decision to love somebody through the hard times and the good times. My mother, when I asked her one time about relationships, she said, "Daughter, it's not about who you can get along with. It's not about the good stuff. But choose someone that you can be patient and understanding through the bad stuff." Anybody can give you a good resume. Anybody can say, when the honeymoon is over, are you just going to skip just because you don't like something? That's not real life. If your parents or people can tolerate you, then you have to learn how to tolerate somebody else. You can't go through life thinking that everything is going to be peachy keen every day. It's a decision. You walk in love. You just don't fall in love. Okay? Well, that's what I have to say on that. Thank you, Joshua. But I'm going to move right along, and I'm going to go to Christopher. And the reason why I'm going to Christopher, because Christopher, you're single, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm single. I'm not married. Excuse me. I'm single, I'm not married, but I've been in the last decade of my life. You know, I've grown. My views has changed a lot. Initially in the introduction, I said I'm a late bloomer, and that's as far as relationships as well. You know, I've never been married, but the past decade of relationships represents like 3 different women, or maybe 4 different women that I've been involved with, and I really started to just understand relationships and myself. Understanding myself more has allowed me to understand the women I'm involved with more. So now I kind of like understand a little bit more about what I want as well. You know, because as a man, you know, you feel, well, I have to satisfy my woman physically. You know, I have to do my part as far as paying the bills, because I've never made enough money where I walked into a relationship saying, well, I got everything. You know, but like I said, the last decade of my life has really prepared me for the next question that you said you were going to ask me.
You know, being single, and you know, what does it take to make a relationship work and a marriage work? And how do you feel about traditional marriages, and are you inspired to ever get married again? How do you feel about that?
Well, like I said, I've never been married.
Okay, sorry, I apologize.
I thought I would have been married by now, especially with the last woman I was involved with, but she's one of these modern women per se, and really goal-oriented. You know, really about her bag, as they say now, and in turn, maybe not investing 100% emotionally. You know, but I still feel like she's there for me.
Okay.
You know, emotionally, maybe not so much, because maybe she's just so preoccupied with other things.
Right.
You know, her homes, her bills, her profession, you know, status, how she's being viewed by friends. You know, I kind of like get that vibe from her, but nonetheless a very challenging woman, you know, a woman that's caused me to step up my game per se. You know, as far as not only professionally, but the energy I invest in our relationship. Even though we're not married.
Yes. So and how old are you?
I'm 59, approaching 60.
Okay, and you've never been married?
I've never been married.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's amazing. Because sometimes, and what I mean by that is, because you're 59, you're from a different generation. And normally people in that generation have been married 3 times sometimes, if you know what I mean. So I don't know, how did you get past that? I mean, most people, and I have to ask you this, most people in your generation have been married more than once, married, divorced, married again. How did you bypass that?
I don't know, sometimes I think it's just, I attribute it at times to, man, God just saved somebody a whole lot of headaches and heartaches, because I wasn't ready. I know I wasn't ready, especially now when I look back at my life and where my attitude was, what my mindset was. You know, and the energy that I know a relationship requires. You know, the first bump in the road, the first disagreement, I probably viewed that as a challenge to my manhood. Oh, I asked you to do this, you're not doing that, I'm out of here. You know, that's kind of like the mindset I had. And that's just recently changed. That's why I say I'm a late bloomer. You know, I would have to say it took me, and I'm still learning, you know, but like I said, the past decade of my life has really been a turning point for me. And that's attributed to the women I've been involved with. That really caused me to take a look at myself, because I wasn't really doing a good job at that on my own. And looking at myself.
Can I say something? Camera this way. Just got to say this because I want to say this. Oh, hi everybody, listen. You know what? It takes a man of courage to step up, a king of courage to step up and say, I'm a late bloomer. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times men like to showboat and pretend they got it all there and everything is wonderful. But it takes a real king to say, hey, I'm a late bloomer, I wasn't ready, I'm still growing, I'm still learning. Guess what? We all still learning. Nobody stops learning as long as you're on this earth. And as I always say, as long as you got breath in your body, you're still learning. The world is a classroom. It's not over because you reach a certain age. It continues. And I just want you to know that this is an eligible, handsome man, and he is such a gentleman. I appreciate him so much for coming on this show. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. I jumped at the opportunity for this. Before I moved to North Carolina, I was part of a men's group as well. Didn't really take off steam because then I moved to North Carolina. But I jumped at the opportunity because at times I feel like I want to communicate and get my point across. I wasn't always good or open. So I grew up at the time. So I believe that men didn't cry, men didn't share certain things, men didn't want to feel vulnerable, especially around their women. We took a lot of things personal. If your woman spoke back, if she didn't do what you asked her to do, you viewed that as a sign of disrespect, disloyalty. That's not the woman for me. She didn't do what I said or asked. Matter of fact, not ask, do what I said. I just grew up a little bit in that time. Domestic violence was big. When I was growing up, I grew up in an apartment building, so there was probably over 30 units in the building. So you used to hear a lot of people. You used to hear fights. But one of my friends, his mother wore shades year round. So domestic violence was big at that time. Women were different at that time. So now when I hear the term modern women, I embrace it. I don't really get turned off from it, because the modern woman, she's driven, she's about her bag, she's going to challenge her man.
Okay, thank you.
So I feel, I know I've been challenged. The part that I feel the modern woman sacrifices in is the emotional connect that the effort that she puts into connecting with her man emotionally.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think that's where the term lazy women comes
Yes,
in.
and I was going to segue into Calvin.
Yes.
Kevin Samuels has made a quote that the black man has been demonstracized in society while they uplift black women. Is there any truth to that?
So with me, it is facts. Because when I remember seeing movies like the daytime talk shows with Oprah, Ricky Lake, Jenny Jones, then seeing movies like Waiting to Exhale, The Color Purple, and I think there was another movie, En Route 66, and a lot of these I would call black misandric movies at the time, and also black exploitation movies. So I always heard that black men ain't ish, black men don't stay, black men cheat, or black men are unrealistic or domineering, and I was like,
Can I ask you excuse me?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I want to ask you a question.
Okay. There's a negative anti-black man narrative that it does go on with men, even on these so-called black sectors.
Okay.
And so that's the thing. It does do that. It plays a part, and also demonize black men are lazy, and the woman's more well-to-do, and she's got it going on. But the numbers in the real world, there's more black men who are childless, single, living in the upper middle class,
Yes.
doing well for themselves,
Yes.
and not to throw no shade, but really making way more money than the female counterpart.
Well, it's not a shade. I mean,
Yeah.
studies show that studies show that men on a whole
Yes.
still have a higher salary, although that
Yeah.
is changing. So there is no shade to that.
Okay, but the point I was trying to get that The news will make you seem like it's otherwise. And that, well, these men, well, this is not to make it long, cut to the point. What I always tell women is that, well, you are who you attract. You are who you desire. And I always ask the question, okay, were you dating with a purpose? Now, marriage is not for everybody.
I like that.
Marriage is not for everybody. Even with my own personal problems with women, I have to look in the mirror. And I have to take accountability, and I have to accept the fact that people are going to like what they like. And it is what it is. People got their choice. People like light skin, dark skin, brown. That's their choice. Don't debate and argue with them. Now, they're being ridiculous with it. Okay, you can check them on the disrespect, but keep it moving. There's somebody for everybody.
Right.
One thing I will say personally, I'm not built for a woman that has self-hatred, does not like herself. I'm not built for somebody who's unaccountable, blames everybody else, easily influenced with the in crowd, but does not want to be self-reflective and a free thinker, but does not want to work and coexist with a man that knows what he's doing, that's intelligent, and understands the world in a better way. And I'm not saying she doesn't, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know I'm experienced, but you want to argue with me and put me down, you can keep stepping.
Thank you, Calvin. And I love that. You know, and that is what Kevin Samuels is about. You know, Kevin Samuels is talking about modern women and how somewhere along the line they have started to put down men. Joshua, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I like to chime in, not so much to CJ's point, but just to add on to the painting an accurate picture of the black man in America. Just a few books. You don't have to take my word for it. Do your own research. But if you look at books like Slavery by Another Name, you look at The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Even if you read what MLK, his holiday just passed recently, but if you actually read the books and look at the speeches that he actually said, not what was given to us in grade school, but in his own words, what you'll see is that black men disproportionately make up the United States prison system. That's very intentional. There are more people incarcerated in the United States of America than in China and in India, who have 4 to 5 times the population of the United States. Disproportionately, those people are black and brown. So in every negative category, in terms of imprisonment, you look at police, criminal activity, or even look at poverty. Black men are overrepresented, and that's intentional.
Yes, it is.
We don't want to diminish that from the time black men are born. The odds are not in our favor.
Right.
The odds are not in our favor, and what's happened is, what you see is, yes, there are successful black people. Facebook, YouTube does an excellent job of showing us who is successful,
right,
and they parade them out as the example.
Right.
You see NBA athletes, right? Mm-hmm. There's only 400 something NBA athletes on earth. A majority of them, we're looking like 60-70% are black, right? So we're looking at 300 black men are the example of successful black men, where this is 300, and we got a population of 40 million black people in the United States.
Right.
We look at celebrity, again, a handful of people as the example of how black people are successful in America. But if you look at the statistics, overwhelmingly, it paints a different picture. So, you see it all the time, and I'm glad recently it's been called out. How many times do you see people called out by the major news corporations where you see the worst shot You see mug shots, you see the worst.
Yes.
Even when black people are the victim, you'll see mug shots of us as victims in a way to criminalize us and demonize us through the media.
Yes.
That's very intentional, where you'll see people of other races, they try to find the best picture of those folks, and it's a psychological thing. That's all you see your entire life.
Yes.
Combined with the algorithms that have been found to be not the best, not healthy for our mental status in America. You look at Facebook.
Yes.
Facebook only shows extremes.
Yes.
It shows extreme left. It shows extreme right.
Yes.
Everybody in the middle, they don't get any time. They don't get any viewership. And generally, Americans are in the middle.
Yes.
So definitely media, and they've been caught. ABC, the CBSs, the NBCs have been caught with their executives wanting to cast African American men in a certain light. And guess what? They control what we see. We look at our phones on average 4, 5, 6 hours a day. Prior to that, we were controlled with a certain set amount of channels controlled by corporations. They controlled the image of the black man, not only for Americans, but for black people ourselves, of how we are, when that wasn't always indeed the reality. So I just wanted to add that plug in while we were on that topic as well. It's very important.
You know what, thank you so much. I really appreciate those. That is an excellent analogy, and it is absolutely true what Joshua is saying, and absolutely, I really appreciate what you had to say too, Calvin, and you, Christopher, because we got 3 different perspectives of different things that's so important. And we're going to go to commercial break, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much. And hello, we're back. Welcome to Queen's Court Conversation. I'm Queen D, and I want to thank WRJR, Jazz and Jams Network, for letting me enjoy this platform. This is my first show of the year, and I'm so excited because this is my first Kings edition. So it's a little bit more serious, you know. But I appreciate the Kings, because Kings don't come on too often, but when they're on, they have a lot to say. And ladies, queens, we need to hear what they're talking about, okay? So we're going to get right back into the show. And I'm going to start with Clay here. And I'm going to ask Clay an important question that Kevin Samuels has been talking about. We've been talking about Kevin Samuels. And Kevin Samuels has a lot to say about the modern woman. Some people agree, some people don't, and some people are in between. And one of the things that he had talked about was that the modern woman was not built for a 40-hour work week, because she's too tired when she comes home. And she doesn't have time for an emotional connection. And that women 35 and older will die of loneliness if they don't hurry up and get a man. I don't have the exact quote, but that's what he's talking about. So I want to ask Clay here, Clay who's dating, and he's in his 30s, and you know, you're presently, like you said, in a relationship. Is there any truth to what he's saying about the modern woman? You know, we know that she's going out there to get her change and everything and do her thing and all that. Does she have time for an emotional connection?
Well, let me definitely preface by saying that we really cannot analyze that in a blanket way. I always say when we look at the modern woman, we have to break it down along racial lines, because when Kevin Samuels talks about the modern women, what he really means is the modern, parenthesis, black or brown woman.
Okay, you heard that, ladies.
He's not explicitly talking about all women, because all women would include white women in that average. And quite frankly, what applies to the modern black or brown woman is not going to apply to the modern white woman from this perspective.
Agreed.
The modern black woman feels as though today that she's carrying most of the weight, and therefore that the man isn't pulling away as much. So therefore, a lot of modern black women are millennials. So with that being said, that they've kind of grown up with this idea that you don't need a man, because a lot of men that they came up with, they feel that they grew up with are mama's boys, or they're underachievers, or gay, or bisexual, whatever, or incarcerated and such. So when you throw all that into the blender, the puree that you have there is you have a woman who is solely independent. Now, granted, you do have white women who are independent as well, but not to the same rate, to the same degree that you see with the modern black or brown woman. And when I say that is that because the African American or even Latino culture has been historically the underclass system or underclass caste in the system, they're not always benefiting economically or socioeconomically. So
Good point.
when a white woman is single, she at the end of the day can always retreat to a white man because a white man is the preferred class. No pun, no offense to anyone, I'm just being real in this
Okay.
country.
Be
So
real.
you can have Sheryl Sandberg write books called Lean In or I Am the Boss, or you have a lot of white women have these conferences or sessions about being independent and all, but at the end of the day, I can guarantee you don't hear too much about it because they're going to retreat to a white
Yes.
man, and therefore their security is covered. With a black woman, they had to feel they're going to work longer hours. In some cases, I know corporate black women who work 12, 14-hour days and such.
Right.
So therefore, they are going to be thus tired. But the problem also with that is you have women who rather just not deal with a man because they want someone who's like their daddy or their granddaddy. And yes, the modern black man is not going to be like their daddy or granddaddy in some cases because you're not going to have duplicates from any generation that passes over. So what happens is you have a lot of black and brown women who are chronically single, and therefore they link up with their friends, their lady friends, or their girlfriends who are also chronically single, and then they have a lot of brunch dates. It's all about securing the bag, wearing matching pantsuits or matching pajamas.
You're
And then
absolutely right.
you naturally have black male, again, when I'm always going to talk along racial lines, black male bashing in that regard. So therefore you have people who are turned off from even dealing with black men. And the social media culture exploits that and capitalizes on that very feverishly. It's to a point now when I go on Instagram especially, it's dominated by black women. I don't really see too many white women on Instagram
I agree.
talking about I'm in my bag or anything like that.
You're
They
true.
got their single post on Facebook and Instagram about how they're in a happy family and whatnot. They don't do a million stories a day about how I'm going to be traveling to this country or this island. I'm all by myself and all of that. I don't see it. Again, that could be based upon algorithms, but the reality is that the social media culture has also contributed to the chronic singleness to the modern
I
black
agree.
woman and brown women, I personally feel.
Thank you, Clayton. And you know what? Clayton is absolutely correct. And to piggyback off of what Joshua said when he had talked about the prison system and demonization of black men, as CJ has said as well. You know, all that, if you put that in a blender, is the reason why we have this new connotation of of the modern woman, which is he's really talking about, like you said, women of color. We know that that's what he's really talking about, and he has actually said it, that white women don't have these problems. But what he's not saying is the reason, like Clayton so eloquently put it, is the reason why we have these problems. Now, how do we handle these problems? This is a big issue. It's a very complicated situation right now. You know, in psychology today, a woman, a doctor, her name is Belle something, and I apologize for not remembering your last name, but she talked about this issue a month ago, and it's in the magazines, and Kevin Samuels actually talked about it as well, saying that she said the black woman is the only race that has a problem with getting married and having security, and how the media is pushing this whole idea that it's fun to be alone and just be this power, strong black woman. I got it all. I got my bag. I got my car. I don't need a man. And let's go out and just have brunch. Come on now. That's not what women want. I don't care what race you are. We all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. That's what a woman wants. We all want to feel secure. That's what a woman wants. We all want to enjoy intimacy. That's what a woman wants. And we all want affirmations saying that we're beautiful. That's what a woman wants. So when we, as women of color, lie to ourselves and say we don't need a man or we got it all together, I don't care if you got $1 billion. Nobody wants to sit home with a cat or a dog or sit by themselves or go out and have, like you said, pajama parties. It's not realistic. Every human being wants love. Every human being wants to feel desired. Every human being wants to have that unit, a family unit like Joshua had talked about. And I'm going to tell you something right now. We need to really think about these complicated issues going forward for the next generation. I don't know what's going to happen with the next generation about finding love and feeling secure. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if you got $1 billion. Nobody wants to lay on money. Money can't make love to you. Queen keeps it real. I don't want just money. I want the honey too. So let's be real about this thing, okay? Let's be real. Do we just want to have money? The answer is no, okay? So going forward as modern women, as the modern woman, what we need to do is reevaluate what the public is saying about us, how they're demonizing our men, and how they're trying to just put us separate like we're just workhorses. Yeah, okay, you got a degree. Whoopee. Now what? Hey, yeah, you don't need a man to open the door, but what's wrong with him opening the door? You're a woman. You're feminine. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's be real about it. Let's don't be fake. Okay? Because I'm keeping it real. Because Queen D don't want to be by herself, okay? And Queen D don't have to be by herself, all right? If I choose to be by myself, it's because I want to, but guess what? I don't want to. But anyway, I want to thank all my guests for being here today and for expressing their opinions and everything. It is so valued. Everybody had some valuable information, and I hope that you have gotten something from this topic. And I want you to like, share, subscribe. I appreciate it if you do. Keep your opinions and your comments respectable. I appreciate that too. And Queen's Court Conversation will be coming back on. We will be doing a live interview with couples. And we're going to be talking about relationships and what it takes to make a relationship work. I want to thank WRJR with Ron Hamilton for this platform. It has been really interesting and something for us to all digest, to unpack all this information. It's a lot to think about. There are no easy answers, but I thank you for joining in. Until next time.